Chapter 7. Understanding Students with Emotional or Behavioral Disorders. By Lacey, Rana, and Mandy Demir. Meet Matt. Matt is a 14-year-old 8th grader who needs 22 prescriptions to manage his behavior. He attends school for only 1 hour a day and has conflict with nearly everyone in school. Matt has behavioral challenges. Laura, Matt's mom, was in desperate need of help. Help! ... So how would one characterize a student of emotional or behavioral disorder? Let's start by identifying emotional characteristics. The first characteristic is anxiety disorder, which is the most common childhood disorder. Anxiety disorder is characterized by excessive fear, worry, or uneasiness. Some conditions include separation anxiety disorder, which is excessive and intense fear associated with separating from home, family, and others with whom a child has a close attachment. Another condition is generalized anxiety disorder, which is excessive, overwhelming worrying not caused by any recent experience. Phobia is a condition that is unrealistic, overwhelming fear of an object or situation. Panic disorder is overwhelming panic attack resulting in rapid heartbeat, dizziness, and or other physical symptoms. Another condition is obsessive compulsive disorder, which is obsessions manifesting and repeating persistent and intrusive impulses, images or thoughts, and or compulsions manifesting as repetitive stereotypical behaviors. The last condition is post-traumatic stress disorder, which is flashbacks and other recurrent symptoms following exposure to an extremely distressing or dangerous event, such as witnessing violence or a hurricane. The next characteristic of emotional disorder is mood disorder, which involves an extreme deviation in either a depressed or an elevated direction, or sometimes in both directions at different times. Bipolar disorder is characterized by exaggerated mood swings and is under the emotional characteristic. Another characteristic is oppositional defiant disorder, which causes a pattern of negativistic, hostile, disobedient, and defiant behaviors. Conduct disorder consists of a persistent pattern of antisocial behavior that significantly interferes with others' rights or with schools and communities' behavior expectations. The last characteristic is schizophrenia, which is when one has a negative symptom characterized by a loss of contact with reality. Behavioral disorders, which can be characterized by externalizing behavior, which is when those that are persistent, aggressive, or involve acting out and non-compliant behaviors. Internalizing behavior includes withdrawal, depression, anxiety, obsession, and compulsions. How do you determine the causes? By looking at the biological causes of emotional or behavioral disorders, relating primarily to brain functioning and hereditary. There are also the environmental considerations, where school factors, in which the teacher doesn't always have sufficient resources, and family factors, where family experiences special challenges. The family makeup can have a significant effect on these children and are considered. So, how does one design an IEP that is appropriate, you may ask? Well, it is important to partner for special education and related service. This is the best practice to provide services that address all of those needs. A wraparound is the name of this practice and is family-driven, collaborative, individualized, culturally competent, and community and strengths-based. Determining supplementary aids and services is the practice that combines peer-mediated learning with self-management strategies to help students learn to manage their own behavior. Those behaviors usually require interventions that have multiple components. Reversed role tutoring is using students with emotional or behavioral disorders as tutors for non-disabled peers, not only resulting in benefits for the non-disabled peers, but also improve the behavior and writing skills of the tutors. There is also a need for planning for universal design for learning. When making an IEP, modifications are almost always necessary to make it possible for students with emotional or behavioral disorders to demonstrate mastery. Remember, it is important to use effective instructional strategies. Classroom-centered intervention combines mastery learning and a good behavior game. Another strategy involves a family-school partnership intervention to improve parent-teacher communication and parents' behavior management strategies. Service learning refers to instructional activities that integrates teaching activities with community service, which is a double bonus. Let's look at some tips for inclusion. Some tips deal with behavior. Behavior involves classmates in the conflict resolution instruction so that all students have an opportunity to work closely and constructively with each other. Social interaction tip. Pair her or him with different students who can model and help him or her practice social skills and responses. Educational performance. Develop a buddy system in implementing service learning so that students work together collaboratively. Classroom attitudes? Here's another tip. Encourage all students to affirm each other's strengths by giving positive feedback to each other. Good to know. Of course, we couldn't forget the most important topic, assessing students' progress. Here, we have a few ways to measure students' progress. One way is to ask questions of the whole class. Ask all students in the class to indicate what they think the correct answer is. Ask them to raise their hands to answer a question. Some students will feel intimidated and will not participate. Another way to assess the students' progress is by using a cooperative learning strategy, such as think, pair, share. This strategy involves creating small groups of students and ask each group to think about a question. Pair the student with a disability with a peer in the group and ask each of them to share their response to your question. But remember to be sure that at least one student has the correct responses. So what about Matt? Matt's mom knew she needed help, so she found a social worker, Rebecca. Yay! Rebecca sensed that what Matt needed most was a caring relationship with someone he could trust, who could connect with him and believe in his potential, not to be intimidated by his words or behaviors. Give him a sense of personal power by offering him choices and work with him, not fight against him. So, how does an IEP, an appropriate... Rebecca then found a special education teacher, Charlotte, who welcomed Matt into her classroom. She built on the foundations of trust and strength-based interventions that were already in place and encouraged Matt and Laura through consistent positive communications. Yay! As a result, Matt attends all of his classes, most of which focus on content in the general education curriculum. He also takes only 2 medications, and 1 is for the occasional migraines. He has good relationships with his school's administrators and faculty and his peers. He is earning A's and B's in school and has a 99.5% average in his general education math class.
Yay!
The end.
Yay!
This has been a production by the Always On Time Association of Mandy Demiar and Lacey Rana.